Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is LuckyBunz, and in today's video we're going to be going over some of my favorite battles going all the way from rank 1 to rank 8 in Season 2 of the Go Battle League. Now, this has been a very interesting season so far. It has actually been pretty difficult. A lot of players, guys, and we've had preseason and Season 1 all the way up to this point, they've actually gotten pretty good, and so a lot of players, including very high-skilled players, who were at rank 10 last season and the season before that, have been saying that it's actually been very, very difficult to move up in Go Battle League in this season. So take that for what you will. I just want to pass that information along. I've also kind of struggled a fair share as I continue to climb upwards in Go Battle League Season 2, but we're just going to go ahead and run through some of my battles here, and right now we have some rank 1 battles, which is why I'm not spending too much time commentating over it. These are generally the easier battles. Do keep in mind that this was, I believe, the first day, from what I remember, the first day that Season 2 did start. Now, during this time, I also had finals going on, so another reason why I haven't really been able to put this video together until now. There are a lot of battles in this video, obviously you guys can tell by the length of the video, and so we have a lot to get through. That's why I kind of decided to just pick my favorite battles and not just kind of go over everything, because rank 1 to rank 8, all those battles, yeah, we'd be here forever. And even then, we're still going to be here for a good minute. But if you guys do get tired of watching, of course, I will try to include timestamps in this video, or at least in the description below. That way, in case you guys just want to watch a couple battles now and then watch a couple battles later, completely fine. I definitely do recommend that. I know it's kind of difficult to sit through like 30-minute videos. I'll usually just end up watching a video for a little bit, and I'll most likely come back to it later, just the attention span kind of thing. But I know some of you guys do enjoy these battles, and you do end up watching the entire thing, and for that, I do want to say thank you. But yeah, timestamps will definitely be in the description below. Anyways though, let's go ahead and take a look at our battles right now. I have not been paying too much attention to them. They weren't really too difficult overall. I was able to get, I believe, 4 out of the 5 wins, going from my rank 1 to rank 2 set. And we'll see what I end up losing here. Obviously, them going with the Ariados, not the best option. I mean, it was definitely an interesting Pokemon to see, and that's another thing in Season 2 that I've actually been enjoying a little bit more, is that we have seen a lot more diversity in Pokemon. A lot of people have been saying this as well, guys. Nobody's really running stale teams in Great League as of right now, which is really, really nice. Everything has just been a really wide variety of Pokemon, and that does keep it alive, it does keep it fresh, and I think that's definitely something a lot of us struggled with in Master League. It was just too stale of a meta, and a lot of people just ended up burning out. So overall, guys, it definitely is refreshing to kind of see a little bit more diversity in these Go Battle League matches, at least in Great League. So that Meganium knocked us out, we just come back in with the Altaria. Now we have to go up against their Bastiodon. We're pretty much in a really bad position using Altaria, so we go ahead and we swap into the Meganium right there. And we are out of shields. And so at that point, guys, I just decided to quit because I knew that there was really no point in continuing the match because we were going to lose anyways. And that is something that I've been talking about in the past couple of videos, I have to say, and something that a lot of you guys have mentioned as well. Also, Genesect in this battle. Very interesting to see that Pokemon. You don't see that too often. Anyways, though, going back to the topic that I was just on here, basically, if you just end up quitting the battle early, it's not that big of a deal if you know that you're going to lose the battle. What that does, guys, is not that it's an insult to your opponent that you didn't finish the battle all the way through. You're basically saving them time, you're saving yourself time. Believe it or not, guys, a lot of people do actually appreciate this, whereas I have seen a few people kind of say the opposite, but more often than not, I do see people saying that they do appreciate when their opponent quits early. I know in the past I've referred to it as rage quitting, and that is generally what a lot of battlers do refer to it as, but I know I've gotten the comments from some of you guys saying that, no, that's not rage quitting, that's basically just, you know, I guess you could call it like a courtesy quit, is what some people were calling it. Also, Exeggutor coming in, we're definitely in good shape with this Altaria. But yeah, it's basically just like a courtesy quit, which I think is a kind of a cool term for it. I don't think that people necessarily quit just because they're raging. I think that they just do it out of courtesy, you know, save yourself time, save themselves time. And ultimately, I think that's just what we're going to be calling that. But as we look into this match, we definitely won the lead right there with Altaria. And I was running an old setup here. I went into this battle set. I should have talked about this a little bit earlier, but I went into this battle set with my Season 1 team that I used to pretty much get to rank 7. Now, as you guys will start to see here as we continue the matches, this team was good at the start, but it just wasn't what I needed for this season. Overall, though, the battles weren't too difficult. I definitely did not expect them to be, going from rank 1 to rank 2, but let's go ahead and fast forward here a little bit. So now let's go ahead and take a look at my rank 3 matches. These were actually some pretty good matches, guys. I went ahead and I switched my team, and this is going to be the team that I use for the rest of the video. This team, guys, aside from getting completely destroyed by Clefable's charm, is really solid. I mean, like I said, I used this for my road all the way up to rank 8, and I know a lot of you guys have asked me what team I've been using. The reason this team is so good, in my own opinion, is because it's so diverse. And I'll kind of explain this as we continue to go through the battles here, but let's go ahead and focus on the battle that we have right now with the Munchlax. So I go ahead and I run the Bulldoze. Not really sure why I did that. Honestly, guys, I thought it would do a lot more damage running the Bulldoze, but to be honest, I could have just run the Body Slam. It takes a lot less time to charge up energy for it, and it pretty much does the same amount of damage, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of my reasoning for that. I'm not really sure why I decided to go for it. I just kind of figured, hey, Bulldoze might do more damage, but I was sadly mistaken. So now we go ahead and we swap in with the Azumarill, and we're gonna farm this thing down. But then something unfortunate is about to happen. They go ahead and they swap in with the Lapras, and this puts us in a really uncomfortable position, mainly because we can't really do that much damage against this Lapras. So yeah, we're definitely in an unfortunate spot. I go ahead and I run the Ice Beam, but as you guys can tell, it didn't really do too much damage. At that point, we just went ahead and we tanked the first Surf, tank another Surf again, and we're going for the Hydro Pump now. We're gonna try and get a decent amount of damage off. Alright, and there is the victory right there. Thankfully, the Hydro Pump did a lot more damage than the Ice Beam. I mean, it's generally a pretty powerful move, so even against a Lapras, which is going to resist Water-type attacks, is going to take a decent amount of damage, just because Hydro Pump is a very powerful move, guys. Okay, so going into our next match here, we have a shiny Registeel. Now this is actually a pretty solid option for Galvantula, and the main reason I say that is because it actually can take down Registeel if you use it correctly. You're gonna have to shield, but ultimately, guys, as you can tell, a Volt Switch just knocks that thing out. And then Discharge, boom. Easy to charge up, and we can get some consistent hits off. And obviously, guys, they don't want to use up both of their shields on that Regi. And now at this point, they swap in with Meganium, so hey, let's go for the Bug Buzz. They don't shield it, they were not expecting it, and at that point, they're like, hey, he's only on his first Pokemon, I'm on my last Pokemon, no point in continuing, and they went ahead and quit. Which again, guys, courtesy quits, completely fine, nothing wrong with that. You were saving your opponent time, and you're saving yourself some time. Alright, so right here we have an Exeggutor, once again, a very uncommon Pokemon to see in Great League, but we did see it earlier in my rank 1 matches, and we see it here again. Now I'm going to go ahead and go for the Bug Buzz because it is going to be super effective. They do predict it though, and they do go ahead and shield it. We come back in with the Munchlax. It does have Lick, guys, so it's going to do super effective damage against that Exeggutor because it is a Psychic type. At this point, we go ahead and we run the Bulldoze against that Raichu. He did not see it coming, so he did not shield for that. He definitely should have, though, as electric types are weak to ground type attacks. And then finally, we have a Kangaskhan, so I just go ahead and I run some Body Slams. At this point, Munchlax is almost dead, so I go ahead and I swap in with the Galvantula, try and get off a Discharge, because I know it's going to do a decent amount of damage, guys. Even though it's not super effective, Discharge, you know, combined with Stab on Galvantula, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. And again, guys, here we see at this point, they are pretty much out of shields. They are out of options, and so they have to tank that Ice Beam. And, well, you can see what's going to happen for the rest of the match here. Even if they run whatever it is on Kangaskhan, it didn't have to be Crunch. It could have been something else. There's no way it would have killed Azumarill. Moving on over to our next match, let's go ahead and see what they lead with. Umbreon. All right, let's see how we handle it. This is actually a pretty common lead that I do run into, guys. I've seen it quite a bit this season. With that being said, though, I've learned how to handle it pretty well. Although it doesn't seem like I handled it that well in this set, but you guys will see as the matches continue, I learned how to handle this matchup a lot better. Although in this case, they decided not to shield that Bug Buzz, so kind of worked out. once again, the earlier ranks, you're not going to have as challenging of opponents, so, and even then guys, I was kind of a little bit rusty going into this season, as you can tell. In my opinion, there are definitely some better plays I would have done, you know, looking back at these matches, but it is what it is. Ultimately, we were able to win the match right there because we definitely got a big advantage on them with Galvantula. So here we have our last match of the set. We have a Wigglytuff. Once again, guys, the Charm users destroy Galvantula. It gets bodied completely. So this wasn't a smart play on my part. I definitely should have swapped into something else, like the Munchlax would have been good, or even the Azumarill would have been better. Basically, losing that Galvantula put us at a disadvantage because now we don't have a hard counter against their Skarmory. Like, Azumarill can knock it out with Ice Beam, but, you know, Galvantula would have just murdered it, you know, just bodying it down. So it does suck, but we kind of have to deal with it at this point. And right there, I kind of went for a risky move, not shielding that Sky attack. We were able to get off the Ice Beam. I went for the immediate swap into Munchlax. Now here's the cool thing, guys. Munchlax can actually take down Altaria. Not even kidding. Body Slam is just that consistent. And I've actually had a lot of people switch into Altaria to try and counter my Munchlax before, which I don't really understand why they do, all things considered, but this was quite unfortunate. So right there, we have the Ice Beam, right? We have the Ice Beam attack Munchlax, and we're gonna come back to the Altaria, but we just didn't have enough energy gain, and Azumarill was practically dead. So that's the end of that set, guys. Overall, wasn't too bad. Once again, we got a 4-1 victory, so I can't complain. Oshawott as the reward, that thing I am going to complain about, but hey, it's all good, guys. No problems here. And we advanced to rank 4, so yeah, good stuff. Let's move on. Now we're gonna move on over to rank 5. These matches are going to get significantly more difficult, significantly more diverse. Obviously, we have a Steelix as our first lead Pokemon. Not a common Pokemon you see in Open Great League, to be honest. Something you do see more in the Silph Cups, but not so much Open Great League. Once again, this is a very interesting setup here, though. They do have the fast attack Electric, so we are taking super effective damage, unfortunately. And yeah, kind of sucks, but hey, it's kind of our best counter against Steelix, and they went ahead and they double shielded. At this point, though, I figured we probably have to shield. They're going to go for Heavy Slam. And then after that, I go ahead and I swap into the Munchlax. Once again, guys, we're not doing the best so far in this matchup. The Steelix is definitely kind of destroying our team slowly. We are able to finally take it out, though, and they do actually have their shields gone. So that does provide us a small advantage, a small window of opportunity, assuming that we are able to actually take this thing down. At this point, I go ahead and I shield on the Munchlax because I knew I could get to another Body Slam, and my ability to switch into another Pokemon has come back. So now I can swap into Galvantula, launch the Discharge immediately, take out Altaria, and then deal with their last Pokemon, which thankfully it's Umbreon. And you guys already know, we're gonna slap this thing with Bug Buzz. Boom! I love doing that. It is the most satisfying feeling to hit a Pokemon with super effective damage like that, guys. Seriously, so satisfying. Now, Umbreon is going to kill Galvantula here, but we do still have Azumarill, and we do still have Munchlax. So I went ahead and I brought Munchlax back in, and we finished it off, and we're good to go. Normally, though, Munchlax would not be the ideal counter against Umbreon. In fact, it's a Pokemon you probably don't want to bring up against Umbreon, if you don't have to. But it works. It works. Alright, so right here we have a Whiscash. I go ahead and I get some energy gain with Galvantula, then swap into a Zoo. They go ahead and they counter swap with the Skuntank. I have to watch out for its poison hits. Those are super effective against Azumarill. And I don't remember what I do here. I decide not to shield. Kind of a mistake. I just honestly kill myself. And then we come back in with the Munchlax. We go for those beautiful Body Slams. They go ahead and they shield, using up their last shield. And at this point, I figure Sludge Bomb will hit pretty hard. We gotta shield it. So I go ahead and I shield. They come back in with the Skarmory. I counter swap with the Galvantula, go for the Discharge. Boom! Ton of damage. And at this point, we can just body it down. Of course, I do get to the Sky attack before we are able to body it down. Not an issue. We go ahead and we shield. They come back in with the Skuntank. Once again, guys, Discharge does a bunch of damage despite it not being super effective, and it's kind of the go-to. Now, unfortunately here, we could not get off that Discharge in time. It would have been really, really fortunate had we been able to, but yeah, you know, things happen. Now in this scenario, we are in a very interesting position. Basically, if they can get off the blizzard, which I believe they do, they can kill me. Oh, they actually go for the mud bomb. Never mind. I don't know if we die here. I think we survive, actually. Yeah, 1 HP, guys. 1 HP. Okay, I was like, I've had a lot of matchups against Whiscash before, and one of those matchups ended up blizzarding me to the face, and I was thinking of that, but it wasn't actually that. This was actually one of my better victories, one of my more insane victories where I literally won on 1 HP. And guys, I'm not even kidding, this is why you need to have PvP IVs going into Season 2. It's definitely not the biggest advantage, but those small things, guys, those small advantages go a long way when you're fighting opponents that are pretty much running the exact same thing. So your opponents are skilled, your opponents know what they're doing now, you have to bring everything to the table. You could get away with it in preseason, you could get away with it in Season 1, but Season 2, unfortunately in Season 2, guys, you absolutely need to have good PvP IVs. It is just so essential. Alright, so going to this matchup here, let's see, we have the Alolan Raichu, which I did not see that coming at all, guys. I really did not see that coming. And I believe they hit me with another Wild Charge again, just completely destroying my Munchlax. At this point, we are pretty much dead. I go for the Body Slam here, but as soon as I find out it's a Azumarill, well, I mean, yeah, we're done. I don't even know why I said as soon as I found out it's a Azumarill. They had used that Azumarill already. Next match here, we have another Registeel lead. Once again, guys, I do know how to handle this pretty well with the Galvantula. Registeel is not something that I'm ever really too worried about, which is a nice feeling. It's a very nice feeling. Because Registeel gave me a lot of problems in Season 1, and a lot of problems in preseason. But now I have a Pokemon that's actually pretty good against it. And can handle itself against the other water types. And the bug types. I'm sorry, and the grass types. Alright, so at this point I go ahead and I swap in with the Munchlax. I decide to tank the Flash Cannon. I just kind of assumed it would go Flash Cannon there. And thankfully I was right. It could have gone Focus Blast, and believe me, that would have been bad, but Munchlax can actually survive a Focus Blast, so kind of an upside there as well. Wasn't a huge risk is what I'm trying to say. And we do have that one shield, so always an option. Now at this point we do realize that it does have the Rock Slide on the Deoxys. I don't know if it has Thunderbolt. It could have Thunderbolt. We find it as Psycho Boost, which means I can farm it down. Now, I had realized this after I clicked on the Ice Beam though. So yeah, take it for what you will, guys. I should have just farmed down. But they actually went ahead and they swapped into Meganium, which kind of worked out for us. Now I know Meganium is going to destroy me, guys, so I kind of had to take it for what it is, and the reason I did that is so I could just come back in with Galvantula and launch a discharge at them. I figured this to be the best play, all things considered. Because if Galvantula would have gone down, we would have lost all that energy gain we had built up. So yeah, it makes a huge difference. We just knocked out all 3 other Pokemon back to back with the saved energy gain from Galvantula. An excellent way to use that Pokemon in my opinion. Honestly, it is one of my favorite Pokemon to use in Open Great League right now. We are finally moving on over to our rank 6 matches. We have a Vigoroth lead, definitely not something I'm too concerned about. The body slams do hit pretty hard, but overall it's definitely not something to be that concerned about if you know how to play Galvantula, which I do of course. So we go ahead and we launch that discharge, then we swap into a Zoo to tank a body slam, definitely the go-to move. They counter swap with Raichu, just regular Raichu though, not Alolan Raichu. Go for the Ice Beam. Guys, Ice Beam destroys that thing. Raichu just is kind of like a fragile Pokemon, so even though it can dish out a ton of damage, it can take a ton of damage as well. I shield both Thunder Punches mainly because I wanted to keep a Zoo alive. It is just such a critical Pokemon in my opinion. I go for the swap into Munchlax, body down with Lick. And they come back in with a Vigoroth. We go for a Body Slam. I figured it can't do too much damage against us. It doesn't have any fighting moves, so we're kind of fine here. Body Slam is usually the go-to. They go for another Body Slam, and they swap in with the Skarmory. We got off a Body Slam right here, which isn't going to do that much damage, guys, but a little bit of damage does go a long way. We come back in with the Galvantula. They're out of shields. We go for the Discharge, and, well, yeah, it didn't go too well for them there. And they come back in with the Vigoroth. Naturally, it was already dead. Let's see what their lead Pokemon is going to be, Wigglytuff. So, as seen in the past, I did not handle this matchup that well. This time, handled it much better, as I did not let my Galvantula go down. You definitely want to protect your lead Pokemon, guys, especially if it is going to be a hard counter against potentially something else later on in the match. And I have no idea what the rest of their Pokemon are. We find out one of them is Alolan Marowak, but I don't know if their last Pokemon is going to be Skarmory or Azumarill, and that Galvantula, it can come in handy. Even if it's Umbreon, guys, Bug Buzz can still destroy that thing. And Munchlax putting in work. Honestly, them swapping into Alolan Marowak was not the brightest choice because obviously me having Lick, it's gonna do super effective damage. And calling that Skarmory, guys, I shouldn't say calling it. I mean, I played through these matches at some point, so my point being is that they could have a Skarmory in the back. They could have an Azumarill in the back. And so ultimately, if they got rid of my Galvantula, then I wouldn't have a hard counter against their Pokemon, which as you can see, my Galvantula did a ton of damage against their Skarmory. And I was able to farm up a little bit extra energy there. I could have gone for the Ice Beam immediately, but I knew that I had to still take down that Wigglytuff, who also had some energy gain saved up, and I wasn't sure when it was going to get to that play rough, but if it did at the wrong time, that could have easily been their match. So right there, they had a Hitmontop lead, they swap into the Magnezone. I'm not really sure what was the optimal choice here. I mean, given I don't really have anything with ground moves outside of Munchlax, and even then, it just takes forever to charge up Bulldoze. But I figured Lick was probably going to do a decent amount of damage, and they went for the Wild Charge there, which means that their defense did drop. Definitely a good thing for us. Kind of also why I think they just let it go down. Their Hitmontop is a hard counter against our Munchlax, but once again, guys, I'm not too worried about it. Munchlax is a tank, and well, we do have a hard counter. Actually, I shouldn't say that. We don't have a hard counter against their Hitmontop, but we do have a good counter against their Hitmontop, and that's going to be Galvantula. Even Azumarill would have actually done pretty well. And now we have their Wigglytuff at the end there. Unfortunately, this is not looking too good for our team because, well, I mean, Azu's going to get kind of wrecked by this thing. We can get rid of their last shield, but the play rough is going to hit hard. If we take one more of those, we're done, and Munchlax is practically dead, so we're not in the best position right now. And right here, I go ahead and I try and swap into Munchlax and then try to swap back into Azu. Maybe had I not done that, we could have got to the Ice Beam in time. I still don't really think we would have. I think we were just kind of destined to lose that match at that point. They had pretty good plays as well, and ultimately I don't think anyone did anything wrong. I mean, obviously I could have played a little bit better somehow to win that match, but at the end of the day, the match was a pretty close one in my opinion. It definitely tested my own ability. And yeah, maybe just one better play could have actually helped me get that victory. I just needed like one more hit on the bubble and I would have got another Ice Beam off. Now taking a look at our next match right here, we have an Azumarill lead. So Galvantula is going to destroy this thing. Also, they're probably going to swap immediately, which is exactly what they did, but they swapped into Toxicroak, which, well, isn't the most optimal choice against Galvantula just because Volt Switch does a ton of damage, guys, and I'm serious, like, it does a ton of damage. They go for the Dynamic Punch. Honestly, they could have gone Mud Bomb. At that point, they just quit the match. I mean, it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. And so at the end of it, we are able to get another 4-1 victory. Had they kept going, maybe they could have won. I also don't really think they would have. And we end up getting a Metagross as our reward. I can never be disappointed getting this thing. I always need Beldum Candy. Time to move forward into our next set of matches here in Rank 6. Once again, they are a pretty tough set of matches. We have a Mew as our first Pokemon, so yeah, like I said, guys, diversity is real. We go ahead and we launch off of that Discharge. Mew's a pretty glassy Pokemon, so you can kind of go for anything in my opinion, just because, like I said, it's a pretty glassy Pokemon, so it's going to take a ton of damage from whatever you really dish out. Also meaning that they're gonna have to shield. Now, they took out my Galvantula, but I'm not really that concerned about it, guys, because we have a full HP Azumarill and a full HP Munchlax ready to go. The Munchlax with Lick would be a great counter against their Mew, and so right here, I'm just pretty much trying to get some energy gain, and then go for that Ice Beam. Puts me in a much better position when I go for their next Pokemon, which ends up being, wait for it, Azumarill. So I go for the Hydro Pump. They are out of shields here, and we can still take it down, guys. We can still take it down with Munchlax. Munchlax is actually a pretty good Pokemon to face off against Azumarill. It will win. Body Slam is just that consistent. I'm not kidding. And so we just continue to body it down, get off those body slams. Right here, I make a conscious decision to shield it. I was kind of scared it was going to be a Hydro Pump, and well, I don't remember if this cost me the match, but it definitely could. So right here we have our matchup against Mew. Now if they do have the Focus Blast, guys, which is always a potential, you have no idea what Mew's gonna have, but if they have Focus Blast, I'm dead. Thankfully that was not the case though, they had Grass Knot, and again, for me running Mew in the past, I kind of have a good idea of what people would generally run, although it's just so unpredictable and there's no real way to tell what they're going to be running on their Mew. I mean, they could have had Focus Blast and I could have died. It really could have been that simple, but thankfully they had Grass Knot. Okay, so right here we have an Alolan Raichu lead. We're going up with the Galvantula. They launched the Wild Charge. At this point, I do remember how badly we got wrecked by that one Wild Charge, so I made sure to shield it. Even on the off chance that it was a Thunder Punch instead, I just feel like it's better not to risk it. And also, guys, Wild Charge I believe does take, I think, a little bit longer to charge than Thunder Punch, so something to look out for. They go ahead and they swap in with Skarmory, and you know guys, I figured there's no point that I need to swap. I mean, I already have the best counter against it right here. It was just kind of a bad play on their part. Now they come back in with the Raichu. We just go for the Discharge because Raichu, once again guys, is a pretty glassy Pokemon, and well, their final Pokemon ended up being Azumarill. And so ultimately guys, their entire team got destroyed by my Galvantula. It's amazing really how great this Pokemon actually is. Okay, so next matchup here we have a Toxicroak. Once again, Galvantula just destroys it with Volt Switch. They go for a Mud Bomb. I decide not to shield it. It was definitely against my better judgment. I definitely should have gone with the shield there, but it is what it is. We'll just have to make the best of it right now. And ultimately, they're out of shield, so we're kind of in a good position. They go for the Mud Bomb. I decide to shield it just on the off chance that it was a Dynamic Punch. That was always a possibility. And now they come back in with the Azumarill. Our hard counter against Azumarill is now gone, which unfortunately was not the best move on my part. But hey, Munchlax can still take it out. We still got this. All hope is not lost yet. And now at this point, I continue to just go for the Body Slam, but actually, I take that back. What I did instead is that I got some energy gain for a Body Slam, and then I swapped into a Zoo, which was the right play in my opinion, because now we're going up against their Reggie, and hopefully guys, hopefully we can get off that last Hydro Pump. They do get to the Flash Cannon in time, but it's not enough to kill us. And this means, guys, that we can get off that Hydro Pump. I go for a couple extra hits there just to make sure that I can kill, and then we have the Azumarill matchup. Now, I also did that, guys, because I didn't want Azumarill to farm energy off my Munchlax. That was the goal. In the end, though, guys, they ended up taking out our Munchlax, and while we did still have our Azumarill, it was not enough to actually get that victory, and we both ended up losing. So it happens sometimes. Ultimately, that was just a really good match, and I will take that as experience over a win any day, because that was a really, really good fight. As we move on over to our next match here, we have the Umbreon. Now this is going to be a much different play than what you guys saw earlier on in the video. I basically just use the Umbreon to farm up some energy, then I go ahead and I swap into Azumarill to tank the foul play, because it was almost a guarantee that I was going to go for it. And if you time it right, you can actually get the swap at the right time, so that they don't go last resort instead. So now they come back in with the Meganium. This is pretty much just a shield until you get your hit off, and ultimately the Meganium ended up winning because I decided not to shield that last one. The reason I did this is because they were out of shield and they're vulnerable to my Bug Buzz. Also, their Umbreon is vulnerable to my Bug Buzz. So once again, guys, this play just pretty much got me the entire win. And once again, 3 Bug Buzz in a row. Had we got the Excellent, that would have actually KO'd Jirachi, but it's not really that big of a deal that we didn't KO it, because our Munchlax had full HP with a shield left. So ultimately, guys, we ended up going 5-0. Technically, officially, we ended up going 4-1. The only reason I call it a 5-0 is because of that tie. As much as the tie is a loss, it's also a win at the same time. I killed my opponent, and my opponent killed me. Neither of us won, neither of us lost. But that also means that we both won and we both lost. Take it for what you will. We are now going to be moving on over to our final set of rank 6. As I say that, of course, you guys can imagine what's going to happen in this set, but I won't say anything specific until you get to the end. So we have Skarmory lead, definitely the optimal choice for our Galvantula here. We're just going to continue to body it down with the Volt Switch, launch off those discharges. Actually, I think I just go for the straight body it down. I just go for that second shield instead. which isn't actually a bad play because we didn't need to use Discharge once again. And I'm really glad we didn't because their Azumarill is going to get hit in the face with this thing. And we can actually get to another one as well because we had that energy gain charged up. And they used up their last shield, guys. Now check this out right here. We die. Now, there was no way I could have survived that, guys. We were about to get to that fourth discharge, I want to say, but we unfortunately could not. So we're definitely doing pretty well in this match so far. I want to say, obviously getting the lead advantage with Galvantula definitely helped us out a lot. Despite using our shields in the beginning, guys, we still had a significant advantage over their team. And this allows us, ultimately, to go for the Hydro Pump on Azumarill, pretty much knock it out. Not quite, but we do still have the Munchlax. And again, kind of our safety net here, which we can just body down Registeel. So there is our first victory of this set. Now also, guys, I am closing in on 400 victories in total in Great League, which is actually a pretty cool accomplishment for me, considering that I only started doing PvP this year, and yeah, I didn't really do it outside of that, so it's pretty good, pretty good. So I go for a swap, they go for a swap. I don't go for the optimal swap, sadly, and get put in a really bad position. I mean, Body Slam is consistent enough to work, but, you know, against Skarmory, it's not the optimal choice. I mean, it's just consistent, and that's really about it. We are making it happen though, and I decided to shield this mainly because I knew that they would have to use up one of their shields if they didn't want their Skarmory to go down, or they could just let their Skarmory go down, which is exactly what they did. And I'm able to body through their Deoxys with a Lick, which helps me out a lot, guys, it really does. They have 2 shields, but they're kind of in a bad position. They only have like 1.5 Pokemon left, not even 1.5. You know, their Deoxys is about to go down. They switch lock themselves with the Azumarill, so I come back in with Galvantula and punish them dearly for that. I go for the first shield right here against the Ice Beam. I figured I kind of needed to. Ice Beam wouldn't have killed, but once again, just the bubble would have killed me after that, so it was really important that I went for that shield. And we're able to get off a discharge and knock that thing out. And we do still have our Azumarill because we did save it. We kind of went back in with that Galvantula instead. And yeah, kind of the optimal choice. Almost all of our HP still intact on our Azumarill. Next match coming up, we have an Azumarill lead. Once again, pretty optimal choice for our Galvantula here. They go ahead and they swap in with the Alolan Marowak. We counter swap with the Azumarill. And we punish it, but sadly that Ice Beam does not catch him off guard. I really wish it did, guys. Most of the time they would shield that. I really have no idea why they didn't shield it. Maybe they just kind of wanted their Marowak to go down. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Anyways, we now have an Azu versus Azu matchup. We come back in with the Galvantula. They anticipated it, guys. I switch lock myself against the Meganium. Sadly, this was the case. I decided to tank the Frenzy Plant just because I knew that I could. I didn't want to use up that last shield because I figured it might come in handy later. Now right here, guys, PvP IVs. I'm not kidding, PvP IVs. 1 HP left on that Galvantula, and we got up another discharge. If you didn't have the ideal PvP IVs, that would not be possible. So I come back in with the Azumarill, mainly to just farm up some energy, go for that Ice Beam. They're out of shields now, so... Oh, I'm sorry, they're not out of shields. Now they're out of shields. Excuse me, we came back in with the Azumarill to get off their last shield. Then we swap back in with the Munchlax, which I know can take down Azumarill. I've said this a million times in this video already, so we are just putting it to work right now. We go for that final Body Slam. Doesn't quite kill Azumarill, but then we can finish it off with a Lick like 2 hits later, so it's all good. Fourth match of the set, let's see what we got here. Another Umbreon lead. You guys already know what we're gonna do. We're gonna basically just farm up energy, and we're gonna shield their first foul play. We're gonna get 2 more hits off, and then we're gonna swap into a Zoo, tank their foul play at the perfect time. I seriously have it down, guys. Galvantula against Umbreon, that is like a matchup that I know on the back of my hand. I'm not kidding. I just know it so well by heart now. They swap back in with Meganium here, so similar setup. I'm kind of expecting the same Pokemon. And we've already seen it work once in this video. You're gonna see it work again right here. You guys already know what's gonna happen now. We're gonna bug buzz everything in the face. And here comes number 2. Boom. And their last Pokemon, you guys already knew from the previous matchup, it is Azumarill. So I'm not sure which YouTuber decided to feature this lineup here, but, well, it's not working out too well. At least against my team. Obviously that's situational and circumstantial, but hey. I think the last person ended up quitting when they got to their zoo. This person ended up going all the way, so you guys can see how this match ended up playing out. We had most of our health left on Munchlax there. Now this is going to be the final match, guys, of our rank 6 journey, our rank 6 final match. This is going to ultimately decide, do we rank up to rank 7 or do we stay in rank 6 and go through another set? Well, spoiler alert, I kind of already told you guys this earlier, but this is a crazy match. Just enjoy, like ultimately enjoy. So we struggle with some lag right here, which unfortunately, I was really scared we were just going to end up losing this because of that lag, but we're able to pull it around. So I come back in with the Munchlax, they go ahead and they counter swap, once again with the Altaria, which I told you guys earlier on isn't like the best play. But I guess some people think that it is. And it's not a terrible play, but Munchlax can handle itself pretty well. Let's just say that. We tank the Sky Attack on a Zoo, and at this point, guys, I knew that I could just farm up a ton of energy, so this actually put me back into a decent position in this match. Because up until then, I had to deal with the fact that I had lag in the beginning and I couldn't get that extra energy gain. So now we come back in with the Galvantula. We get off their last shield, they come back in with the Melmetal. I go for my last shield because Rock Slide would just destroy me. I go for a Discharge here, which actually kills it. I was going to say, I don't think it quite kills it, but it did. It was actually low enough HP. Now, unfortunately, at this point, Ice Beam is going to destroy my Galvantula, and guys, this is like the closest matchup I think I've ever had, especially to get like a victory, my 400th win, and to get to rank 7, everything was on the line right now. Everything was on the line, and we pull through. We pull through in the end. Farming up that extra energy against their Altaria was literally the key to winning that match. Had I not used that opportunity to get some extra energy gain, we would have not won. And I just think that's insane, to be honest. And so our journey into rank 7 has finally been concluded. We are able to achieve it at 2087, which is actually a pretty decent rating, all things considered right now in Go Battle League. I believe the new rank 10 is rank 9 right now at about 2500 rating. That is where the top battlers are currently at. So to fall in line at around 2100 rating, it's actually pretty good. Now this is going to be a bonus set right here, guys. Pretty much our road from rank 7 to rank 8, which is kind of already a guarantee, because if you have over 2000 rating, your next set will basically just give you rank 8, whether or not you lose all 5 matches or not. But of course, if you go lower than 2000 rating, I guess you wouldn't really move up to rank 8. But my point being is that there's a lot less pressure going from rank 7 to rank 8 if you actually hit above the threshold, which in my case I did. I was 87 points higher than what I needed to be. So this was a pretty stress-free set, you could say. I wasn't too worried about it. Rank 8 was pretty much where I peaked last season. I got to, I think, like 2397 or something like that, so pretty close to rank 9, but I just couldn't pull it off, guys, especially running my, you know, what happens if you lose 100 battles. That kind of put me in a bad position to climb back up again in such a short amount of time. But by the end of season 1, I was kind of demotivated as well. I just kind of gave up on season 1 and hitting rank 9 entirely. I just felt like it wasn't going to happen, and ultimately I think that helped me a little bit more with my school studies because I really needed to focus in that department. So all in all, I think everything did kind of work out for a reason. But taking a look at this match right here, we go for that Hydro Pump on that Bastiodon, and let me tell you guys, it feels so satisfying. I always tell you this, it feels so satisfying to get those super effective, super powerful hits on those Pokemon that you just hate so much, and Bastiodon is on the top of my list for sure right now. It is just such a tanky Pokemon, and if you don't have a Azumarill or you don't have something that's just like a hard counter against it, you're not gonna have a good time. So interestingly enough, we actually end up getting paired with another Meganium lead, which I thought was like super weird, just like, okay, you know? And of course, We see the Bastiodon again, but they did switch lock themselves, guys. They did switch lock themselves, so my Azumarill can pretty much come in and just wipe the floor with this thing. I go for the Hydro Pump just because I'm thinking they're probably not going to shield it. They probably think that, you know, I'm going to run the Ice Beam and try and fake them out. They're pretty smart, right? And that's the thing. It's like going from rank 7 to rank 8. Anybody who pretty much places above 2000 rating, like I'm fighting right now, they're pretty good battlers. And so I kind of figured, assuming like, hey, they're probably smart enough to know that I'm going to go for the fake out with the Ice Beam because I overcharged on my Hydro Pump. So I just went for the Hydro Pump instead. It's weird. You kind of have to like psych yourself out. It's kind of crazy. I actually learned that from somebody in my community recently as we had one of our Sylph Arena matches. So it's crazy, but as you kind of get more experienced, you have to like psych yourself out from thinking about how to counter the regular person. You have to like anti-counter your counter. I don't know. It's like some crazy level thinking, but it's also basic thinking at the same time if you think about it, but it's not. It's like advanced thinking. I don't know. I'm kind of just going on about this. My point being is that when you're going up against experienced battlers, don't do what you normally would. Try to think like one step further, if that makes sense. Anyways, going back to the battle here, let's see, we're getting knocked out by Registeel, and we end up losing that match, sadly. Once again, this was a pretty stress-free set. I wasn't tripping about it too much, mainly because, like I said, we're gonna get to rank 8. Like, even if we lost all 5 matches, which I guess if we kept on losing matches after that, we would have gone lower, but there was almost no way we were not gonna hit rank 8, is what I'm trying to say. So right here we have their Altaria. They go ahead and they swap in to the Stunfisk, and I hate this Pokemon, guys. I hate it so much, but it's also super good in Go Battle League, so I guess I don't fault them for using it. I know there have definitely been a handful of videos coming out about Stunfisk lately, so I'm not that surprised to see it in the spotlight. Anyways, though, we are handling it pretty well with the Munchlax. We're able to take it down and keep our shields intact, so everything kind of worked out there. At this point, Munchlax has done its job. We're going to come back in with the Azumarill, and we are going to destroy this Altaria. They go ahead and they swap with the Registeel right there, so we just go for the Hydro Pump. Get off their last shield, come back in with the Galvantula. We have both shields left, which means we can just launch a ton of consistent discharges at them. And ideally, guys, that's going to do a ton of damage in the long run, as you will see right here. They're out of shield, so they have no choice but to tank these hits. Alright, and GG, we have enough energy gain for a discharge against the Altaria, which is not enough to kill it, but hey, we can finish it off with the Azumarill. So once again, guys, getting some extra energy gain when you know that you can, like how I did against that Registeel, was a pretty optimal opportunity that I took advantage of. Because had I not got that extra energy gain, maybe that Altaria could have used Sky Attack against my Galvantula, ultimately killing me and not allowing me to get off that next discharge. So right here we have a Defense Deoxys, which is definitely not something I need to worry about too much. We can ultimately take this thing out with the Bug Buzz, but I go ahead and I try to fake them out with the discharge right there. Then I go for the swap into Munchlax to just body them down with Lick. Go for the Body Slam right there. They have to shield if they don't want their Defense Deoxys to go down. They go for a Psycho Boost instead. We continue to body it down. At this point, I kind of have to either shield or not shield. Their Psycho Boost is, well, their attack dropped a lot, so I don't have to worry about it too much, basically. And I take advantage of that. I don't use any of my shields against their Psycho Boost, which I think is ultimately going to help me out in the long run, guys. If you shield some of those small hits like that, especially when their attack drops from using Psycho Boost, I mean, you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage in my opinion, so I was able to avoid that. So now we have the Altaria against Azumarill. At this point, I can just shield the Sky Attack and then go for that extra energy gain and then the Ice Beam. Boom. Ice Beam taking it out. Now we have Jirachi, and we have that Hydro Pump, right? We have that Hydro Pump available, and we know that we can just destroy it with it. Come back in with the Galvantula, go for that discharge, and we take the match. All right, so moving on over to our final match right here. Once again, no matter what happens in this match, we are going to rank up to rank 8. So we have a Ferrothorn. Definitely a Pokemon that I do see a little bit more in Go Battle League this season, for sure. A lot more people do have this thing. So we're just going and we're getting some energy gain. We go for the Bug Buzz because that will do a decent amount of damage against it. Sadly, they shield it. We go for another Bug Buzz though on the off chance that they don't shield it, and they don't. So we're able to get a decent amount of damage off. They go for a Power Whip. Once again, Galvantula is an amazing Pokemon, guys, because it really only takes super effective damage from fire and rock type moves, so it has a large number of resistances as well. So now we're going up against the Vigoroth with our Azumarill. Definitely not something to worry about too much again. We body it down. Then we go for the Ferrothorn. Now we have to shield it. Then we go for the Ice Beam. Boom. Take down the Ferrothorn. They have the one shield left. Come back in with the Galvantula. Sadly, we could not get to that discharge. But we do have our Azumarill right here. We're going to try to make this work, although things are not looking too good. But we still have that Munchlax, right? We still got the Munchlax. Our hope is still alive. We had a fully healed Munchlax, so we were actually pretty safe. Once again, these matches did take place a couple days ago, so I don't remember quite everything. Obviously, you guys could tell as I went through the video, but yeah. All in all, we're able to take this thing down, another 4-1 victory, and yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it, guys. I know there were a lot of battles in this video, rank 1 to 8 season 2, we got it done, and yeah, hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, definitely make sure to hit that like button down below, I'd really appreciate it, and if you do want to see more of these Go Battle League videos in the future, feel free to hit that subscribe button as well, and I will see you all real soon in the next one.